Brigitte Macron, wife of the French president, Emmanuel Macron, now says she is going to present scientific and photo evidence in court to prove her sex. This is part of the couple's court case here in the U.S. as they're suing the woman on the right side of your screen, conservative commentator Candace Owens, for saying on her platforms, Macron was born male.
Brigitte Macron was actually born Jean-Michel Trogneux. That is the person that you are seeing in this photo here on the far left. I would stake my entire professional career on the fact that Brigitte Macron, the current First Lady of France, was born a man.
So Macron is trying to shut down these claims and win the case. Owens is trying to get the whole thing thrown out.
But it does seem to be the issue of the moment. Some hackers have got into her tax returns apparently and turned her sex, her gender, to male on her tax forms. All very upsetting for her.
8 men and 2 women are accused of making false online claims about Brigitte Macron's sexual and gender identity and suggesting that her 24-year age gap with her husband Emmanuel Macron made her a pedophile.
And in this 4-hour video, they presented the theory that the real Brigitte Macron died very young, in fact, and her identity was taken on then by her older brother, Jean-Michel Trogneux, who had surgery to then physically become a woman and then married Emmanuel Macron, the French president. And this video and the theories in it were posted far and wide by anti-vax and far-right accounts, and it didn't take long, in fact, for the hashtag Jean-Michel Trogneux to then start trending online. Now, I really want to mention here, I think it's important to note that Jean-Michel Trogneux, the brother of Brigitte Macron, he is 80 years old today and he is very much alive. But what may have really helped fuel this rumour online is that the relationship between the Macrons, the first couple of France, they have long been the subject of online cannon fodder online. There's a huge speculation and interest in their relationship. They do have a 24-year age gap between them. The First Lady was indeed a teacher at the President's School when they met, so that may have really helped fuel it. But Brigitte Macron and her brother then decided to sue these women for defamation, the women that made that video, and in fact they actually won that case.
Another defendant is a woman known by her pseudonym Amandine Roy. In 2021, she posted a 4-hour interview spreading conspiracy theories that Brigitte Macron was born a man under the name Jean-Michel Trogneux, the actual name of her brother. She was ordered to pay damages to Brigitte Macron and her brother in 2024 before the conviction was overturned on appeal. The First Lady has since taken the case to the country's highest appeals court.
We intend to demonstrate that we have nothing to do with this and that no offense has been committed.
The attorney has said this is incredibly upsetting to both President Macron as well as his wife, Brigitte Macron. They say it's a distraction as well to the president and his family. This is an opportunity for them to prove to kind of shut down all of the rumors and the talk of what you heard from Candace Owen there, to essentially prove that she is in fact a woman. As you mentioned, they're going to use scientific and physical evidence, if in fact this goes to trial, to make sure everybody understands that that is in fact the truth. And I will say this is actually the second defamation case on this, because there was a defamation case that happened in France. This actually initiated with some French bloggers in which the Macrons actually won that case, but it was subsequently overturned in an appeal, not because of the truth, but because of freedom of expression.
Millions of people watch her. She did a series saying that Brigitte Macron was born a man, was born biologically male. Obviously Brigitte denies this, so does the president. They deny it so much so they've now launched legal action against Brigitte, against Candace Owens, for saying that Brigitte Macron is basically a bloke. And so Brigitte Macron, this is what I want to ask you, Amy, just what you think about this. Brigitte Macron's going, I've got pictures, I can prove, I've got photographs of when I was at school, photographs, I've got records, I've got documents. Why doesn't she just say, I will undergo a chromosome test? I mean, that's it. It takes 5 minutes. That will establish. Yeah. Why doesn't she do that?
I guess the only reason I can think of, I mean, I do agree. I mean, this whole issue it must be horrible for her that this is constantly in the press, you know. And as you say, if she could just stop it, you wonder why she would. I guess the only thing I can think of is that it's a matter of principle, that she's saying, well, why should I have to? Because I guess if she has to, then maybe, anybody could be accused of being trans, and then do we all have to, go undergo a chromosome test? So maybe she's just thinking, well, I shouldn't have to do this. But I think what's happened with both of them is that their pushback against this, the Macrons, as kind of backfired, because they are getting so much publicity about this. If they had just ignored Candice, or if they had just maybe, quietly submitted some evidence or something like that, but because they've been digging their heels in so much, it's caused such a media storm around that, where there is now mounting pressure on her to prove her sex, and it's a very strange story, and like I said, Candice Owens gets lots and lots of views, so I think from their perspective, I guess they felt that they needed to respond to it, but the fact that it's ended up with a lawsuit is and she could just prove it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing. The thing is, Amy, she sued Candice Owens, obviously in America.
I'm left with so many questions, Verica. One thing I have to say is that, who cares if indeed Mrs. Macron had been born a man? Who cares? Whose business is it? As we understand it, of course, she wasn't. But it's such a shame that she feels she has to, I suppose, prove this in some way, shape or form. It's degrading for her, I think, in some way. But nonetheless, these claims being made seem completely wild and spurious. But nonetheless, they appear to grow because people seem to like that sort of speculation, let's put it that way. It's not just in France, though, is it, that the Macrons are having this struggle? Tell us about that.
No, it hasn't. It's spread far beyond France, and the Macrons have now also taken action in the States. This really exploded on the internet when Candice Owens, far-right podcaster, commentator, MAGA commentator, she picked it up, and she became one of the most vocal champions of this conspiracy theory. In fact, she said that she was willing to bet her entire professional reputation on it. And she built her multi-part series called Becoming Brigitte on her platforms, but she took these accusations even further from what was previously in that 4-hour video. She, amongst many other things, she claimed that the president and his wife are even blood related as well. And this was a huge moneymaker for her, as you can imagine. There was millions of views on all of these episodes on her platforms compared to the ones before, which had hundreds of thousands. And in typical Candice Owens fashion, she did provoke this story as well a lot, even wearing merchandise like this, displaying Brigitte Macron as Times Man of the Year. And earlier this year, it was then that, in fact, that the Macrons decided to take legal action. They decided to sue her in her home state of Delaware. Owens did try and dismiss the case, but the Macrons countered with a 241-page complaint about the vitriol that they were facing. And Macron's lawyers have said that they are willing to offer scientific evidence to dispel the rumours once and for all.
What motivates people to do this kind of campaigning journalism, they would call it? We could think of other names to describe it, of course. Well, why are internet users so keen then to engage with this kind of rumour, Verica? Tell us about this.
Well, Mark, that is the question, but it does have all the ingredients, as if you will, of a perfect conspiracy theory. We have a head of state involved. We have an implication that the head of state is lying and deceiving his people. We have a sexuality, gender element involved. So it all really adds to the perfect conspiracy theory there.